You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
Praise the Lord, saints. Praise the Lord. Certain this is another day that the Lord has made, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. I don't know about you, but Lord, I'm grateful. I'm thankful that you shook me and woke me up this morning and let me see a dawn of a new day. Lord, I am really grateful. We're praying for all of the saints of God that are watching our TV program right now, and why don't you call a friend and have them to tune in. I want to talk to those of you that are in need of a divine blessing. You're saying, Lord, how long must I wait? I come to tell you on this morning, your wait is over. God is ready to do exactly what he said. So he'll bless you as far as you can see. He'll give you your heart's desire if you just serve him. On today, we are praying for all of God's children here and there everywhere. This month of February is Negro History Month, and we know that a lot of our famous people have paved the way for us, and things are better than what they were in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. And we're just grateful. And let's not forget those who have fought to pave the way where we could enjoy things as they are. And it's happened. You know, we still got to keep on pushing. We just got to say, we are somebody, and we are a child of the Most High. Amen. Praise God. And you have the right to receive the Lord's blessing, whatever your heart's desire. And you have a right. Amen. Praise God. Regardless of the color of your skin, you have the right. Amen. Amen. To go where you want to go, as long as you got the money. Amen. Praise God. We're honored this morning. Amen. Praise God. And this is the 12th Veterans Day. Amen. Now, President's Day, Veterans Day, I don't know which one it is. Amen. But they going to celebrate it on Monday, but I'm just so grateful, amen. And I thank God for all of my listeners that are right in supporting our outreach ministry broadcast, and praise God, and I pray that God would open up the channels of your mind where you can understand what the Spirit of God is saying to the saints of God, where you can be blessed. That's what it's all about, amen. Because it says in the Word of God, amen, 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Let us think on that for a moment. God said, you don't have to want for anything. Amen. For he is your all in all. Just learn of him and do his will. Hallelujah. And tell somebody about his goodness. Tell somebody about his healing and his deliverance. God is awesome. Amen. The only thing you got to get connected. Amen. Certainly we thank God for this fine TV station, amen, WHPR, amen, amen, WHPS, amen, praise God, it's changed, amen. So we are happy to be a part of it. We're happy to be able to come and do our morning broadcast every Wednesday, and we're praying for you. the everyday, ordinary saints of God that are in need of the Lord's help. And last week I asked you to draw a picture of a heart, amen. Many of you drew a picture of a heart, and that's all you did was drew it, amen. You're still sitting there, side of the road, saying, Lord, why I can't think like I used to? Well, stop worrying, first of all. Many of us worry about this and that and worry about things, and if we keep worrying, we won't be able to do anything. Amen. Praise God. Amen. I want to read for your spiritual uplifting this morning. Amen. Praise God. From the book of Matthew, the 15th chapter and the 8th verse. This people draw nigh unto me, and with their mouth, and horrible me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. If your heart is far from God today, you better sort of check things, because he's the only one that's going to see you through whatever you're going through. And many of the saints of God today, they have many problems. They're facing many different situations, challenge, and things with the family, things with the finance, amen, all sorts of things going on. But let me tell you this one thing. God is the head of my life. God is all I need. He is the light of my life. He is whatever I desire for him to be for me. I'm just a humble servant doing God's will. For the Lord touched me in a special way when I was back in my early 20s. Told me he had a job for me to do. That is to bless the saints of God that was in need of his blessings. There's many ways God can bless you. But I want to address myself to those who are in a financial bind this morning, and you find that you just don't stop. I mean, you stop dead in your tracks, and you just don't know what's going on. Say, Lord, I pray my prayer every night. When I wake up, I pray a prayer, and I ask you to bless my children and my family and my friends. But Lord, it looks just like I can't get my hands hold to nothing. What must I do? Listen. I want you to hear me this morning. For the God in you is awesome. The Bible says you have not because you ask not. God wants to give you a heart desire, but first thing you got to forget about that negativity, that you can't. There's no such thing you can't do. If you believe it, you can receive it. Because in my Father's house, there's plenty of everything for the children of God. Now I come to tell you this morning, hold your head up, because you are somebody. God wants to do great things in your life, but you got to believe in him. You got to have that burning desire. You can't have that. Somebody said, well, you've been going to church all your life and you're still in the same situation. So don't worry about that. God's got his own time when he's going to open that door for you. And the blessing of God's going to flow in. Hallelujah. You could be down today and up tomorrow. Mind power is God's power. You are a child of the Most High. Why worry about this and that? Somebody say, Bishop, I'm in a tight situation. My utility bills are sky high and this and that, and I don't have much income coming in. Praise God, but I want you to rely on this one thing. The Father sits high and looks down low. God will do what he said. God will send you the help when you're in trouble. God will open the windows for you and pour out a mighty blessing. Oh, you didn't hear me this morning. But listen, I want you right now that's watching right now. Hallelujah. And you're saying, I just don't know. But listen, don't give up. Keep on pushing on. Keep on knowing that your day is going to come. Keep on knowing that it's just a temporary situation. Keep on knowing that God hears and answers prayer. A faithful prayer. Hallelujah. Thank God Almighty. Praise God. I thought about the woman that at the well, and she just didn't know what to do. You know, Jesus saw a woman, hallelujah, when he was going through the simile. She was sitting there getting water. Jesus asked her to give me a drink. And she said, "You're not of us." Amen. Hallelujah. But she looked at me, and she knew that he was somebody. Hallelujah. When she gave me a drink, said, "This water is living water. You don't have to thirst no more." But I'm saying today, open up your mind, open up your communication with the God in you. Amen. Say, "Lord, here am I, Lord. Move me, Lord. Show me, Lord." Praise God. Lord, I want to give my life to you. Amen. Praise God. I want to serve you. See, what's the problem is, praise God, you're not praising God. You're not giving him any time. Praise God. But you want him to bless you. You want him to go before you, make easy intercession. We want him to heal your body, but you got to give God some time. Amen. There's nothing wrong without going to church. Some folks stay in church. Amen. And they're so happy and jolly. Amen. Praise God. But remember, God is watching you. Hallelujah. And this morning, I want you right now to get a pen and paper, for it's important that you write in this week. Amen. I'm on the road now, and praise God. Hallelujah. I'm on the road. And I don't want you to be on the outside. I want you to be on the inside. I want you this morning, praise God, to write in this week for my special weekend blessing that the Spirit of the Lord have given me. Every one of you that wrote in last week, praise the Lord. Some I called, some received your letter, and you got a letter coming back this week. But in the meantime, I want you, saying, "Bishop W., we love you. We appreciate you. I want you to show me some sign this week. I want you to write me a letter if you never wrote me before. If you're saying, 'Lord, help me,' I want you to write me. 'Lord, I need your help,' I want you to write me. If your money is low and your funds is down to the bottom, I want you to write me. If you're saying that my money is not like it used to be, look like I can't get my hands onto anything, I want you to write in this week. This is for you. Someone is searching for employment. You're saying, "Bishop, I'm drawing conversation right now, but it's about to close on me. It's about to run out." I want you to write me this week. God's got a blessing for his children this week. And I just want you to got faith. Your faith in God. And the God in me, hallelujah, you got to get through. I'm talking about somebody that wants to be on the inside instead of being on the outside. God said he'll fix what you loan and not borrow. God said he'll send you a big payday and give you what you need. Have it shaken together and run over in good measurement. And somebody said, "Bishop, that's why I want to have it shaken together and run over." Amen. Because I need a blessing. How many of you watching this program right now need a financial blessing? If you can say yes, you better write in this week. Look on the screen, you'll see my mailing address. Praise God. Don't let the devil stop you. Don't let him block you. I'm saying to you right in this week, make sure that you put in your letter a self-stamped address envelope. Praise God. And your faith offering of $10 to aid this outreach ministry broadcast. That's what I ask you to send in. Sometimes the Spirit tells me to send something else, and I do that. Amen. Praise God. But this week, matter of fact, I tell you what I want you to do. Put that $10 in your letter along with 5 cents. Somebody saying, what he saying? If you're a spiritual minded, you understand what I'm saying. God is able. And put your $10 and the 5 cents. And your self-stamp, it'll rush that to me. The mailing address is right there on the screen. There's no shucking, no peeping, and no hiding. Honey, we're going to hit a home run. Hallelujah. And I'm going to send you the weekend special. God, you know, they always have a special going on. Amen. You look at TV and the special this and that, got a special for President's Day and all this. And, amen. I got a special too. My special came from on high. And I just want you that believe in the power of an almighty God. Know that he said in his word, I'm the Alpha, I'm the Omega, I'm the beginning and the end. And whatever God put together, can't no one separate it. Can't no one stop it. And the Lord told me to go and bless you, my Father's children. Open up your mind right now and you receive the blessing on high. Say, I can receive. I can be blessed because I am a child of the Most High. And the God in me is awesome. Hallelujah. This is the day the Lord has made. We're going to rejoice and be glad in it, and we're not going to let nothing stop us or nothing block us. Amen. Now, if you want to be on the winning team, amen, you better write in this week. If you're tired of weeping, tired of crying, tired of going without, you need to write me this week. If you're saying that, Lord, what must I do? Lord, why am I not being blessed? Lord, why can't I get through? This is your time. And you got to act on it. Hallelujah. This is a special blessing this week. Special blessing. Write in. Send that letter in. Amen. There's the address right there on the screen. Bishop WHPR Box 211, 13, Detroit, Mission 48221. Now, you got to do it today now. You got to do it this day. Don't wait. Please, sir. Please, ma'am. Because you'll be left out in the cold. Praise God. Now, I know they say we're supposed to get some snow tonight or tomorrow. Amen. But, well, God is in charge, so it's in it. He knows what he's doing. Amen. We're just going to accept it. We had so much snow that you couldn't even get out your house. Praise God. So I'm not going to let a little snow stop. I'm going to keep on rolling. Praise God. Hallelujah. But listen, I love each of you, and I thank God for each of you that write it, but I want my friends that I haven't wrote at all, and you've been watching our program every Wednesday. Praise God. But I want you right now, if you're serious about getting through this week, if you're serious about receiving a blessing from on high, if you're serious about putting money in your pocket, God can do it. That young lady on, amen, on TV, won that money on that spin the wheel, whatever it was. Amen. You can be lucky just like she was. All you got to do is have a willing mind. God's not going to do for you, you can do for yourself. He has everything. Amen. And God wants to bless you. God wants to help you. And all that can happen is by you listening and being obedient. And write in this week. If you write in, send that $10 and 5 cents. Don't ask me why, but I'm going to be obedient to the Spirit. And if you do that, know in your heart that the help you need is at hand. You'll be able to sing it also. I'm so glad Jesus lifted me, singing, glory, hallelujah to his name. Oh, praise God. As time is winding down, and we want you to know that We appreciate every one of you that's watching this program. We're praying for you and your family, that God will go before you and make ease and success your way. That some way, somehow, he opened up the window of heaven and pour out a blessing upon you, that you won't have room in your store to receive it. I can't do it, but God can. And we want to pause for a moment and to send a very special prayer out to the Macmillan family. Friend I've been knowing for quite a while, Linda Macmillan. She's a member of Bethel AME Church. My understanding that she was taking someone to the hospitals, and she was sitting there in a car waiting till she come out of the doctor's office. When she got there, the lady that she had taken looked at the car she was laying over, had a massive heart attack. So you don't know when. As far as I know, she wasn't sick, but you don't know when or how you're going to leave her. So that's why every day, thank God for life and body. Treat folks like you want to be treated. She was doing someone else a favor, like God wants all of us to do it. And God just was ready to bring her home. So our prayers goes out for the Macmillan family and asking God to give her the strength. Certainly we're praying for Sister Catherine Webster family. Asking God to continue to bless that family. Amen. And every one of you that have someone confined in the hospital, so we send a prayer of healing, a prayer of deliverance. We know that our God does not fail, and he's here, there, and everywhere. Lord, we ask you to bless your children, wherever they might be, confined in the communist home behind the prison walls, or just laying there at home on their bed of affliction. Lord, stop in, Lord. Look in on them. Bless them with your blessings, Lord. Lord, we know that you can do it, for you have all powers in the palm of your hand. Dear Jesus, bless your children that's in need of your healing, that's in need of your living. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And so we thank God for just being here this morning. So we're praying for staff of the radio station WHPS. I think I'm right now, yeah. WHPS, we're praying for each and every staff member that plays a part during our everyday activities to make sure that things are going the way it should be going. We appreciate that. And greater things are about to take place. I feel it in my spirit. Amen. Praise God. But in the meantime, let us get on back to the old corral, where somebody's scuffling, somebody's suffering, somebody's mad about something that they don't even know about. Praise God. But listen, to make that madness go away, if God would bless you with some of that lean green, and when they put a smile on your face, wouldn't that make you feel a little better? Well, write me this week. Write in this week. Praise God. Don't forget now, send that self-stamped envelope. If you don't have a stamp, I'll put one on there for you. Please write an envelope out there so it'll come back to you with your name, your address, and zip code. Put that in your letter with your faith offering of $10.05. They used to call it a nickel. Back in the day, it's called nickel. But now we sophisticated, it's 5 cents. Amen? Well, now I'm telling you right now, you can sit there and moan and groan and business and worry about something that you can't do nothing about. Amen. But you better get off what you're sitting on and make a move. Amen. Make a move. Put a letter in the mail to me, Bishop W.J. Amen. And that mailing address is P.O. Box 21113, Detroit, Michigan, zip 48221. Now, every Sunday morning, we have our morning service at the church, Divine Deliverance Church, 15819 Wyoming. That's WHPR and the Johnson Lot Freeway. At 11 a.m. We actually come and be in fellowship with us. Amen. And we have a good time in serving the Almighty God. Also, we have at our religious counter all types of candles, oils, incense, things of that nature. We are not open every day at the present time. We're doing a little remodeling. Amen. But I hope to have everything together about next month. Praise God. And you'll be going to notice a letter from me about a service the first Sunday in March. Amen. Oh, we're going to have a hallelujah good time. When the praises go up, the blessings come down. I'm happy about it. Praise God. And I know that my God, hallelujah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob can do the impossible for you. The only thing you got to do is just believe and just have a little faith. I had a talk with Jesus, and he told me everything is going to be all right. My God, now don't you forget, it's important. Now I'm going to believe in him going down to the church, and I'll be there until the 1 p.m. hour. Those who want to come by and pick up your weekly letter, you can do that today. Praise God. That address 15819 Wyoming. And we want you to know that God can and God will make a way out of no way for you. And the only thing you got to do is have a burning desire. You can't stop now. You done came too far. Somebody's in trouble. Amen. I mean, you got a bill that's out of sight. You just don't know what. You better write me that letter. I'm going to help you get out of that situation. You write me that letter. I double the day to write in this week. And the mail address is right there on the screen. We love you. We're praying for you. Don't forget, if God can't do it, it can't be done. Now, I come to tell you, I'm a voice of one crying out in the wilderness. Lord, make mine straight. If somebody else is saying the same thing. Lord, I need a straight answer, a straight blessing. Hallelujah. Don't forget, send your faith offer $10.05 to our 8-hour outreach ministry broadcast. Amen. And I declare, you'll be saying, I'm so glad that I wrote in to Bishop W.J. We love you, and we're praying for you. And we know that the victory is at hand. Don't let nothing get in your way. Don't let nothing confuse your mind today. You must get your letters off today. I urge you to be obedient and watch and see how the blessing of God is going to flow. You that listened in last week, hallelujah. Oh, the devil tried to steal your joy, but you that had sense came through. I told you about that heart. Hallelujah. Told you about them dead folks too. My God Almighty. Well, we love you, and we want God to do great things for you. And if you just continue to listen or watch our program, watch and see, those things be better for you. Well, we love you. We're praying for you. And we know that God is the best thing that ever happened to us. Hallelujah. Praise God. Lord, I thank you. I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you, Lord, for letting me be able just to come to say a word on your behalf, that you are awesome.
hello, hello, hello. And thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. I am Claudrine Jackson. I am your host for A Spoonful of Comfort, reminding you and me that in these troubled times, we need to give comfort. And if we can't give comfort, let us not give discomfort. I thank you for the privilege of your time. I thank you for tuning in to WHPR. I thank R.J. Watkins and Henry Tyler for having the station, keeping it running long enough for me to get on the station and try to share some things with you. God bless you for tuning in. May you have sunshine to greet you, adventures to meet you, joy in whatever you do. May you have God's presence to guide you and good friends beside you and happiness all your life through. So we know that's impossible, but it is my wish for you. If it were up to me, that's what my wish for you would be. I want to thank everyone who has donated to the Purvis Jackson Autism Foundation. Thank you so much. You know, the Purvis Foundation helps lower income children with handicaps because wealthy people can do a lot of things for their handicapped children that lower income parents can't do. To be handicapped is a handicap. To be poor and handicapped is a double handicap. That's why I speak for people who can't speak, such as my son. He cannot speak for himself. So I try to speak for them and try to help them because God has greatly blessed me. And doesn't God want those of us who are blessed to help the less fortunate? Now, this is the month of March, and March is reading month. So I would not be the correct teacher if I did not encourage you to read. So March is reading month. Find a book to read. Those of you who are real readers will find more than one book. But to find a book to read, I have some suggestions for you. I have the books that I have written, and they are very easy to read. They are big, quick reads, and even people who don't like to read can read my books. They also make good gifts. So my last book is The Butterfly. I have my first book was Let There Be Light, which was written, it was published in 95. My next book was the one where I'm showing the picture of my son's artwork, and that's inspired by autism, which my son has inspired me by autism for over 40 years. My last book is the one that's The Butterfly. And my handicapped son, Purvis Jr., the butterfly, that's his butterfly. That's his artwork that is the design on the butterfly. Now, he is 44. He still cannot read or write or talk or live independently. But I'm trying to show that he does have something to offer, as do many people with disabilities. You know, we see someone with a disability, and we forget about the ability part. So what I try to do with my son and others is to show the ability part. So that's PJ's butterfly on the cover, and I am so proud of him. He's not aware. When he first started doing artwork, it's just coloring. And I'd give him a coloring book, and he colored every page without looking at the lines. Every page was his own design, and I was trying to get him to stay in the lines. And then it dawned on me, instead of stressing me and him out by trying to get him to color inside the lines, to just give him plain paper. And he started making really nice pictures, abstract, of course, and I was framing them and putting them on the wall, and I was so proud of them. But him being autistic, people with autism don't think the same way that we do. People with autism also have challenging behaviors. So it got to the point where not only was he not doing any more coloring and making pictures, he started taking the ones that I had on the wall. He started taking them off the wall and tearing them up. So I had to rescue them and take the rest of them off the wall. But that's an example of how a person with autism does not think the same way as we do. What is important to us was not important to him. He's thoroughly not interested in drawing or coloring or anything now. But I saved what he was doing while he was doing it. And the butterfly on my book, The Butterfly, is thanks to Purvis Jr. That's his design on the butterfly. So if you've been watching the news, you can't have missed the fact that there's a lot going on in the world, not just in Detroit or in the country, in the world. There's a lot going on in the world that is troubling. So what I want to do today is try to share a little comfort. You know, I say a spoonful of comfort. Try to share a little comfort. The things that when I get upset, I want to share with you some of the things that comfort me. Because we are living in a time of discomfort. 2 Corinthians 1, 3, and 4 says that God is the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all of our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. So that is saying that God gives me comfort when I need it. So I'm supposed to give comfort when others need it. And Lord, don't you know we need comfort now? If we ever needed the Lord before, we sure do need him now. That's an old song, but isn't it appropriate for now? So I want to share another scripture. This is 2 Corinthians 4 and 8. For we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Now that's from 2,700 years ago, and it's still appropriate. We are troubled on every side. We are in distress. 2 Corinthians 4 and 9 says, we are persecuted, but not forsaken. We are cast down, but not destroyed. So it comforts me to remember these things. And so if some of the scriptures I'm sharing with you aren't the ones that comfort you, then you can find one that comforts you. The 23rd Psalm, we all know the 23rd Psalm. So hopefully the 23rd Psalm comforts you. He restores my soul, and I know that's true because he has restored my soul many times. Another scripture I want to share with you is Deuteronomy 31 and 8. The Lord goeth before thee. He will be with thee. He will not forsake thee. Fear not, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. We have to remind ourselves that there have been troubling times in history before, but we've always made it. And to me, what society is going through now is back to biblical times. We are in a strange time in society where there's a lot of unpredictability. So this is when we really need to go to our scriptures and get comfort. Another comfort scripture is 1 Peter 5 and 7. Pour out all your worries and cares on the Lord, for he cares for you. Pour out all your worries and cares on the Lord, for he cares for you. Another scripture that I love that has helped me greatly is about God's energy. You know, there's negative energy in the world, as we can see, but you know when it's God's energy, because God's energy is an energy that uplifts and encourages and inspires. And that's what the scriptures are for, to uplift, encourage, and inspire. Psalm 147:3 says, He healeth the broken in heart, and he bindeth up their wounds. So we are trying to give comfort, and I believe if you are watching this show that you're probably one of the ones who is also trying to give comfort. Isaiah 40:31, they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like an eagle. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Here I am as a witness to the fact that the words of the scripture will be fulfilled in you if you believe and if you walk the walk of the Bible. God doesn't expect us to be perfect, but the desire to do right carries with it a great power. The desire to do right carries with it a great power. You are in harmony with the omnipotent plan of the universe. So if you have the desire to do right, as I have, I'm not saying I have the desire to be perfect. I have the desire to do right. And if God knows you have the desire to do right, then he blesses you and helps things turn out right for you. Another scripture that I want to share with you is Matthew 17:20. If any of you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea, and it will happen. Now, that's the way Matthew put it. Luke says, if you have the faith to move a sycamore tree. And there's a lot of repetition in the Bible, and that's one of the beautiful things about it, because the repetition is by different authors of the Bible. And so many of the things that they wrote then still help us now. Psalm 91:11, for he shall give his angels charge over you. For he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against the stone. Another one, when you're distressed, read Isaiah 30:15. In returning and rest shall ye be saved, in quietness and confidence will be thy strength. So sit down, read some scriptures, and find something that uplifts you. I'm going to take a short break. Please stick with me for more of a spoonful of comfort.
When I was 17, I ran away from home and from everything I had ever known. I was sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hate. They used to laugh at me, their children called me names. I would run and hide, feeling so ashamed just for being born. I was just a boy, punished for a crime that was not mine. Life ain't so easy when you're a kid.
Thank you so much for sticking with me for a spoonful of comfort. And hopefully today, something I'm saying will give you comfort, because we sure need comfort now. And who are we getting it from? Not our leaders, although we have some leaders who are trying to give us comfort. So I've shared with you some scriptures. I want to share with you some of our gospel songs, which are based on the scriptures, some of the words from our gospel songs that help uplift and encourage. You know we need encouragement. Help uplift and encourage us. Colossians 3:16 says, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. Spiritual songs have uplifted me from the time I was a little girl, and I'm sure they have uplifted you. There is good news in Christ, although it's hard for us to find it right now. The good news of Christ is more, it's not just facts to be believed or history to remember. It is a life to be lived, and we sure need that now. We need to go to our scriptures, go to our gospel songs. If we ever needed the Lord before, we sure do need him now. So I'm not going to sing to you, but I'm going to share some of the scriptures with you, some of the words to gospel songs that have helped me a great deal. How I Got Over. How I Got Over is a good gospel song. My soul looks back and wonders how I got over. Well, those are the words to the song, but my soul does not look back and wonder how I got over. I know how I got over by just what I'm doing with you now. Scriptures and psalms, and even when I didn't believe, when I was reading the scriptures and I didn't believe. They say if your faith is as a grain of mustard seed. When I didn't believe that things were going to turn around or come about, God knew. God's thoughts are not our thoughts. There's a scripture that says that. If you're down and depressed, think about the Lord will make a way somehow. Like a ship that's tossed and driven and battered by an angry sea, when the storms of life are raging and the fury falls on me, and I wonder just what I have done that makes my race so hard to run. Then I say to my soul, don't worry, the Lord will make a way somehow. I'm a witness. The Lord will make a way somehow. I've told you my age, 80. So you know at age 80, the Lord has made a way for me time and time again. Even when I doubted, when I would say, well, Lord, I know you can't solve this problem. As I said with my son's autism, God did not move the mountain. You know, they say if you're faith, he will move the mountain. He did not move the mountain, but he moved me. So remember, sometimes God answers our prayers in his way, not in the way we are expecting. How about it is no secret what God can do? What he's done for others, he'll do for you. With arms wide open, he will comfort you. It is no secret what God can do. How about precious Lord, take my hand? Precious Lord, take my hand. Lead me on. Let me stand. I get tired. I get weak. I get worn. And the older I get, the less tired and weak and worn I get, because God is renewing my strength and restoring my soul. Precious Lord, take my hand. Lead me on, let me stand. I get tired, I get weak, I get worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. How about, I can't believe he brought me this far to leave me. I can't believe he brought me this far to leave me. And I know that he didn't bring me this far to leave me. I can't think of the words of that right now, but I will. Going up the rough side of the mountain. I'm going up the rough side of the mountain. I must hold to God's unchanging hand. I'm going up the rough side of the mountain, but I'm doing my best to make it in. Now, suppose we were going up the smooth side of the mountain. One slip and we're back down. So maybe there's a reason for the rough side of the mountain. And I've gone up the rough side of the mountain. God says, call on me in your hour of need, and I will deliver you, and you will glorify me, which is what I'm doing. He delivered me many times. He picked me up out of the muck and mire. He picked me up, turned me around, placed my feet on solid ground, and I am thankful, I am blessed, and I'm trying to bless others, because when God comforts you and blesses you, you are supposed to share that. He doesn't bless us for us to keep it all to ourselves. Another one, I trust in God. I know he cares for me on mountains bleak or on the stormy sea. For come what may, from day to day, my heavenly Father watches over me. Now, I have been on the stormy sea, for real. I've sang this song for years, but I was on a cruise. We were in the Gulf of Mexico. Usually when you're on a cruise, they turn the ship around if a storm is coming and you go in a different direction. But we were in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm a retired teacher. You might not have a map, but if you have a map, get your map and look, and you can see the Gulf of Mexico, and you will see why the ship could not turn around. So that ship rocked all night. When I go on a cruise, which I won't be doing anytime soon, and I'm so old now that I probably won't be going on anymore, but I've had my cruises. But this particular cruise, this was stormy seas. The sky was gray. The seas were stormy. The ship was rocking. I got seasick. I got vertigo. I had to go to the shop in the on the ship and get some seasick medicine all night and all day. And I thought, who would have thought that I would actually be on the stormy sea? As many years as I've sung that song, now here I am on the stormy sea. I want to share with you a couple of my poems. This poem I'm going to share is not from my new book. It's from my old book. And I've shared it with you before, but it bears repeating. He who holds the future. When storms are raging round me and I'm drowning in quicksand and unhappy things are happening, things that I don't understand, when I don't know what else to do, I'll just do what I can, because he who holds the future, he also holds my hand. I believe that God is with me every step of the way. If he brought me to it, he'll bring me through it. So in his care, I will stay. And I will face my future according to his plan, because he who holds the future, he also holds my hand. That's from an older book. I want to share with you a poem from The Butterfly, which is one of my newer poems. And this is, what do you say? What do you say? What do you say to yourself when nothing is going right? You can say, I'll give my troubles to Jesus because his burden is light. You can also say, this too shall pass. My faith will see me through. When you are walking through a storm, Jesus walks with you. The Lord will make a way somehow if only you believe. So let not your heart be troubled. Just give him what you need. And you too can be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I am a witness. You can do all things through Christ. Just let him take his time. This poem is from my new book, The Butterfly. He will guide you with his counsel and bless your weary soul and show the way to glory. Just let him have control. That poem, what do you say, is from The Butterfly. So, speaking of The Butterfly, I want to remind you about my book signing, where you can purchase copies of The Butterfly. I will be reading poetry, and I'll be asking other folks to share with poetry. The Butterfly is on sale right here at WHPR in the gift shop, 160 Victor in Highland Park. You can get a copy of The Butterfly here. You can come to the book signing March 29th, Sunday, March 29th, from 3 to 6 at Northwest Activity Center. Northwest Activity Center is located at 100 Myers, right at Curtis. You can't miss it. And from 3 to 6, you can come after church, or if you don't go to church, you can come to this, and you'll be out before dark, and we're going to have refreshments, and it's a meet and greet. I want to meet you and greet you, and I also want you to meet and greet each other. So it's a meet and greet book signing, March 29th. I'm also having one in April. March 29th, 3 to 6 at Northwest Activity Center. You know, sometimes when you get out and do things, and I've told you my age, I went through a period of time where I was just too worn out and weary to get out and do things. And actually, I want you to know, I felt better in my 70s than I did in my 50s. In my 50s, I was still working. I was taking care of PJ. I was juggling things and trying to accomplish things. I was worn out and weary and bedraggled and depressed. And I thought, Lord, how am I going to make it? But I knew that I wanted to live a long time. So George Burns is a comedian that lived in his 90s. And a couple things George Burns said came to me. One of the things he said is, you have to get older, but you don't have to get old. He also said, I know that I'm old, but I don't have time to sit and be old. So that's me. I know that I'm old. I don't have time to sit and be old. I was depressed for 10 years about my son's condition, so I asked God to give me those extra years that I threw away. Well, I won't say they were thrown away, but I asked God to give me those extra years, and if he did, I would be grateful, and I would bless others. You try to when we accept the blessings from God, then we need to remember to bless others. And remember, Proverbs 16:24, pleasant words are like a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. So I'm signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. Hopefully I'll see you at the book signing. Have a good week, and God bless you.
When I was 17, I ran away from home and from everything I had ever known. I was sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hate. They used to laugh at me, their children called me names. I would run and hide, feeling so ashamed just for being born.
Hi, excuse me, do you have anything for payment?
Straight down that aisle there.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Urban Review, the show brought to you by the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development, the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development, and the Office of National Drug Control Policy. And because we are partially funded through a grant from the Office of National Drug Control Policy, it is my requirement to inform you that the thoughts and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the thoughts and the opinions of the Office of the National Drug Control Policy or the White House. Thank you once again for tuning in to Urban Review. We're so happy to be here with you today. We have lots of good and positive and fun things to share with you. One of the first things we want to share with you is the fact that we attended the National Coalition Academy in Dallas, Texas for 3 weeks this year, in 2019, I should say. And just this past month, or actually earlier this month, on February 3rd, the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development participated in the graduation ceremony from the National Coalition Academy, and we received our diploma. And we're very, very happy. This is a copy of our diploma. If you can tune in on it or zoom in on it from our camera team. Yeah, that's it. We are national graduates from the National Coalition Academy, and that is for the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. So we went out to Washington, D.C., in National Harbor, Maryland, and had an opportunity to participate in the National Leadership Forum, which was the 30th Annual National Leadership Forum, and we were allowed to graduate from the National Coalition Institute. So we're very, very proud of that. Also at the National Forum, we learned a lot of information about positive things that happened, and we also learned some things about marijuana. And each week I want to share with you, or each month, some facts about marijuana that you might not be aware of. And one of the things that the proponents of legalization of marijuana and the advocates heavily promote is that marijuana has no tie-in with violence. In fact, they often repeat the words of our friend and comedian Cat Williams when he says the side effects of marijuana are hungry, happy, sleepy, and that's it. But we are here to tell you that is actually not true. In fact, a 2013 paper in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence used data from a federal survey of more than 12,400 American high school students to examine the link between alcohol, marijuana, and aggression. And the researchers' initial hypothesis, which they published as part of the paper, was that alcohol increased violence while marijuana reduced it. Instead, they found that students who had recently used marijuana but not alcohol were more than 3 times as likely to be physically aggressive as those who abstained from both, even after adjusting for race and sex. And those who used who used alcohol but not marijuana were 2.7 times as likely. So you see that those who use marijuana and not alcohol are once again 3 times as likely to become physically aggressive, according to this paper from 2013. So I said, well, let's research a little bit more, and we looked at a paper from 2016 in the Psychological Medicine magazine paper, and it examined marijuana use and criminal behavior among 400 boys in London who were followed for more than 40 years beginning in 1961. And their marijuana use was surveyed when they were 18, 32, and age 48. And the paper found that marijuana use at all 3 times was associated with a 9-fold increase in violent behavior even after adjusting for other variables. That's saying that a person, those people who they followed for 40 years, proved to be 9 times more likely to be violent if they had ingested marijuana. Also, we found a paper in 2017 in the Social Psychiatry and Psychiatric Epidemiology, and they surveyed 2,000 young men in Britain and 4,000 young men in China to see if different factors led to violence in the 2 countries. Drug abuse was far more common in Britain and associated with a 5-fold increase in violence. The study didn't break out marijuana versus other drugs, but noted young British men overwhelmingly reported misuse of cannabis. Alcohol abuse was associated with a 3-fold increase in violence. So you can see that these studies, along with other studies about substance abuse, one that took place in Brazil in 2018, that showed that the translational issues in psychology science showed that among 269 men who had been court-ordered to treatment for domestic violence, marijuana use was associated with physical, psychological, and sexual violence, even after accounting for alcohol use. A 2017 analysis of 11 previous studies in drug and alcohol dependence found that marijuana use was associated with a 45% increase in violence during dating by adolescents and young adults compared to a 70% increase for alcohol use. So you see, despite all of the pre-thoughts that that marijuana does not have a relationship with violence, the data and the statistics prove differently. And if you'd like to learn more facts, the truth about marijuana, mental illness, and violence, I would reference you to this book called Tell Your Children the Truth About Marijuana. It is written by Mr. Alex Brinson, and I had an opportunity to hear Alex speak and had an opportunity to chat with him during our meetings in National Harbor, Maryland at the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America National Forum. Another positive activity that I wanted to share with you was in November of 2019, we were asked to be a part of the Square Impact survey and also the spoken word contest. And we were fortunate enough to be winners of that contest, which resulted in our center receiving $150,000 of consulting services from JFM Consulting. So we're going to play you a video of how we performed in that spoken word slam, and we are now going to ask our producer to roll that video.
The Center for Urban Youth and Family Development's mission statement is that foster youth emerge from the foster care system vulnerable to substance abuse with little opportunity to obtain higher education and/or develop life skills. The Center for Urban Youth and Family Development empowers youth that are in and are transitioning out of the foster care system to overcome the struggles and challenges by providing them substance abuse prevention, life skill training, and workforce development programs. You guys are doing great work. Foster programs and foster aging out is a serious thing that's happened in our community. Speaking on behalf of the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development is Marcel Arbuckle. Let's welcome Marcel.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcel Arbuckle, and I'm the founder, executive director, and the chairman of the board of directors for the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. The Center for Urban Youth and Family Development is a 501c3 nonprofit public charity that provides substance abuse prevention, life skills development, and workforce development for youth that are in and transitioning out of the foster care system. Now, I know that because I'm in Detroit, I have a very brilliant audience, so I'm going to keep you engaged and keep you hanging on the edge of your seat. I want you to watch my right hand, and every time I raise my right hand, I want you to say 3 words. Those 3 words are see it through. Let's practice. See it through. Okay, now I can't tell you about my foundation unless I tell you a little bit about me. When I was 2 years old, myself, my 3-year-old brother, and my 4-year-old brother were left standing on the steps of the city courthouse by our biological parents who were heroin addicts. But that's okay because the person who discovered us standing there was a social worker. And that social worker took us to Child Protective Services, and we were placed in the foster care system. Now, my oldest brother, he was placed in one home, and my brother next to me, we were placed in a separate home. My oldest brother, he was bounced from 7 different homes between the age of 4 and 15. But the home that my brother and I were placed in, we were lucky. We were placed in a Christian home, and we were raised up until we graduated from high school and went away to college. I graduated from Indiana University summa cum laude, moved to Detroit, and worked with the Ford Motor Company for 27 years. And after 27 years with just 36 months left to go to full retirement, I got the old tap on the shoulder. And I got upset and I sat down and I said, I'm going to tell my story. And I wrote this book called I Got a Story to Tell. But when I started telling my story, it was how I made it through the foster care system. And I found out that my story was different from most youth that are in the foster care system, because 65% of the boys that transition out of foster care, they transition into prison. 45% of the young women that transition out of foster care transition into homelessness, prostitution, and substance abuse. And only 2% can tell my story that they went to college, graduated, and live a productive life. So I started the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development to change those statistics. My foundation was born and raised in the Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, where Charles Gilchrist Adams and his son Christian Adams helped me to get the foundation off the ground. And then I went to Liberty Bank with $1 in my pocket, and they gave me a facility. I remember the night that I put my wife in the car and we went down to look at the house that the bank gave me, and I said, honey, here's the house that the bank gave me. She said, honey, can we give it back? But because it was in such bad condition. But then thanks to Maxwell House Coffee and the Drops of Good campaign, I was able to get a $50,000 extreme makeover on that property, and today we house young men that are transitioning out of the foster care system, and we also give our summer youth employment program, where we are sending youth off to college at 3 times the rate of the national average, according to Wayne State's evaluation program. And so, thank you. And so therefore, after working with the foundation, I remember a story that when I was just 4 years old, all of the kids were giving me a hard time and teasing me because I was in foster care. So I went in and I was crying to my foster mother saying, why did God make me have to be a foster child? But she said God did it for a special reason, because somebody had to be a foster child. And it had to be you, because you want to grow up and be just like your superhero. He's faster than a speeding bullet. He's more powerful than a locomotive. He can bend steel with his bare hands. You all know who I'm talking about. It's Superman, because Superman was a foster child. His parents were having problems, and they sent him down here to earth to live in a foster home. And so I believed in that. And from that point on to this day, I've been trying to be somebody. And we know that somebody is the person that does what anybody could do, but nobody's doing it, because everybody knows that somebody's going to do it, and somebody has to stand up for youth in foster care, and I am somebody. Now you ask me, what am I teaching those young people in foster care? Well, I'm teaching them that when you're up against some trouble, meet it squarely face to face, plant your feet and shut your shoulders, lift your chin and take a brace, and when the worst is bound to happen, in spite of all that you can do, you may fail, but you may conquer. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim, but don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim, and when the worst is bound to happen, in spite of all that you can do, running from it will not save you. Even hope may seem but futile when with troubles you'll be set, but remember you're simply facing what other men have met. So if you fall, still fighting, don't give up whatever you do. Keep your eyes to the front, your head high to the finish, and thank you, everybody, and bless you, my lovely wife.
Hey, that was a phenomenal and exciting and exhilarating experience. As you can see, I got a little revved up and started talking kind of fast, but we only had 5 minutes to get everything said that we had to say, and so within my 5 minutes, I had to tell that story. But we were very, very pleased at the outcome. As indicated, we were one of the finalists and ultimately a winner, and we will be receiving $150,000 worth of consulting services from the JFM Consulting Group. So that was a wonderful experience, and that gives you a little bit more insight about me and my background and the work that we're involved in here with the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development, as well as the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development. Just to give you a couple of updates on some other activities that we got involved in, we recently conducted a Building Bed for Kids outing with the nonprofit Building Beds for Kids out in Royal Oak, and we collaborated with the members of the Hartford Men's United organization or ministry from the Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, as well as some scouts from Troop 647. And one of the scouts, Mr. Patrick Bosworth Jr., was in the process of completing his Eagle Scout requirements, and he used this activity as his Eagle Scout project. And what we did was gather all of our men together along with these young men, and we went over to this factory, and we literally cut the boards, did the sanding, applied the hinges, and created bed frames for about 25 beds Then we took mattresses and recovered them with mattress linings and got everything all packed up and ready to go for these young people to receive the beds, from building beds for kids. We want to give thanks to our friend Sam, and a special thank you to Reverend Kate Thornson, who helped to facilitate this great event. And we were able to make a major contribution, and we would ask the rest of our community to go out and look for opportunities to volunteer and to serve. We have some outstanding events coming our way very soon. First of all, I'd like to announce the 2020 Savior's Day, which will be taking place this Sunday, February the 23rd. The doors are open at 12 noon, and the program starts at 2 o'clock p.m. That will take place at the TFC Center, which is in downtown Detroit. Many of you know it as the old Cobo Hall, but now it is the new TFC Center, and we excuse me, ask you to come out and support that wonderful event. Another activity that we're going to be having is our Men's Substance Abuse Prevention, Mental Health, and Wellness Summit. And that will be taking place next Saturday, February the 29th, at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, which is 18700 James Cousins Highway. That is on the service drive of the Lodge Freeway, just before you get to 7 Mile on the east side of the service drive. And we have a really, really exciting program scheduled for you that day. We will be providing free breakfast and free lunch for the individuals that come out and participate. Our opening plenary speaker is none other than the bishop himself, Reverend Horace Sheffield, who is the CEO of the Detroit Association of Black Organizations. And Reverend Sheffield will be there. And then our keynote speaker for the luncheon is none other than Mr. Willie E. Brooks, Jr., who is the CEO of the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. And so both of those gentlemen will be making presentations focusing on faith, family, fitness, and finance for 2020 and beyond. The 4 F's: faith, family, fitness, and finance. And that's on Saturday, February the 29th. Breakfast, free breakfast, will begin at 8 o'clock a.m. There will also be a free luncheon, and there will be available for the first 100 attendees. So please come out. We will also, not only will we have free breakfast and lunch, but we will have Narcan training, and that is the opioid overdose revival training. If you know someone, or even if you don't know someone who is involved in opioids, once you get this training, you will be able to save a life. You will be able to go in and revive an individual who has overdosed, and not only will you receive the training, but you will also receive the kit that you need with the products necessary to revive someone. So we'll also have QPR suicide prevention training. QPR is question, persuade, and refer. And that's a special training that we're going to provide to give you insight on how to deal with individuals who might be idolizing suicide, and want to give you the skills and the resources to know how to deal with that. Also, we're going to have holy yoga. So you'll be able to focus in a little bit on fitness and getting yourself physically strong for 2020. Also, we're going to be conducting a youth focus group where we'll be gathering information and data regarding last 30-day usage and perception of risk and other key information that we need as we develop our strategy for substance abuse prevention. And last but not least, we will also have a town hall meeting after the luncheon. We will have a town hall meeting that focuses on marijuana, tobacco, and alcohol. These are legal substances that are killing us. And we're going to have an august panel of individuals that will be available to discuss this issue, including Mr. Emmett Mitchell, the executive director of the Milestones Agency. We'll have Reverend Gregory Lindsay, who can give us the faith-based perspective. We'll have medical doctor Margaret Betts, who will be there to provide insight. We will also have Mr. Reginald Vance there from the Veterans Administration, and we will have a great group of panelists that are going to give you their insight on this issue of marijuana, alcohol, and tobacco, legal substances that are killing us. So please come out. Once again, that is on Saturday, February the 29th, starting at 8 o'clock a.m. We will have breakfast from 8 to 9. The opening plenary session will begin at 9. The Narcan training is scheduled to begin at 10. The suicide prevention training is scheduled to begin at 11:30. The luncheon will begin at 12 o'clock, and we will have the town hall meeting kicking off at 2 o'clock p.m. and hoping to wrap up the day at approximately 3:30. So please come out and spend the day with us at our first annual Men's Substance Abuse Prevention, Mental Health, and Wellness Summit. Once again, that will be taking place at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, which is 18700 James Cousins Highway. That is the service drive of the Lodge Freeway on the east side, just south of 7 Mile Road. So we really look forward to having you out for that event. It's going to be an action-packed day, and we plan to have a tremendous event. Also, we want to invite you to consider becoming a part of the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development. The coalition meets every third Thursday of the month at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church. We do a rotation. The first month in January, we had our meeting at 6 o'clock p.m. in the evening. The next month, this month in February, earlier today, we had our meeting at 10 o'clock a.m. Next month, we'll rotate back to 6 p.m., and then in April, we'll rotate back to 10 a.m. So every other month, the meeting is at 10 a.m., and then on the other months, it's at 6 p.m. And that gives individuals who work during the day an opportunity to come and participate in the evenings, and those individuals who have obligations in the evening can come and participate during the day. And if you are not able to physically come out and attend the coalition meeting, remember that you can call in and be a part of our coalition activity, and that call-in number is 770-770-6635. And we look forward to having you participate and call in and be a part of the coalition. We have a lot of activities that you can be a part of. We're really excited about the work that we're doing. We've had some wonderful events. We had our drug-free holiday youth jam. That was an excellent event in December. We did our bed build and other activities this month in recognition of Black History Month, as well as Parenting Month, which will be coming up. So we have lots of activity. In the month of April, we'll be doing our prescription drug take-back day. In the month of June, we'll be going out to Nashville, Tennessee. In July, we'll be going out to Nashville, Tennessee to participate in the mid-year training conference, the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America mid-year training, and we want to take some youth with us. So please consider becoming a part of the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development, and our work is to create a drug-free community on Detroit's West Side. And as we come to a close for today's program, we would like to close out the way we always do with the words that Nelson Mandela said to himself each day during his 27 years of captivity, and that is, out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods there be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud, and under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloodied but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the minutes of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. For it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the captain of my fate and the master of my soul. Thank you for watching Urban Review.
107.3 FM, WVIE.
How would you like for this to be you? Well, it could be. If you have the desire to be an independent radio personality, paying yourself, this is your chance. WVIE 107.3 FM and WHPR 88.1 FM are looking for people with outgoing personalities who can attract sponsors. Launch your career on a radio station with the latest technology in broadcasting. WVIE 107.3 and WHPR 88.1. If you're into talk, R&B, oldies, jazz, gospel, or soca, Radio We Can See is where you need to be.
88.1 FM, WHPR.
Have your own radio show. Block time is available. Call 313-868-6612. Radio We Can See, broadcasting live in the Virgin Islands and Detroit. Find us on Comcast Channel 90 and worldwide on Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, and all of your favorite platforms.
Hi, this is LaWanda.
This is R.J. Watkins.
Coming to you to bring you some information about the #1 detox in the nation, Lemon Burn. Lemon Burn helps to turn the fat into fit. It's for you, a happier, healthier you. Because you know healthy is the new beautiful. An all-natural way to improve your health. It promotes a healthy digestive system, attacks and reduces belly fat, as well as gives you energy. Need to get yours today. Call 313-868-6612.
Don't forget to exercise and eat right.
Have you been in an accident? Have you been injured? Auto, motorcycle, bicycle, pedestrian, truck, bus accident, slip and fall, dog bite, wrongful death, or police brutality? Then you need professional help from Tri-County Lawyers. No fee unless we win. Tri-County Lawyers. Call 888-292-6908. That's 888-292-6908. Tri-County Lawyers. Call 888-292-6908.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. For only $99, you can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. On the web at tv33whpr.com. With the TV33 app. On Roku, Google TV, Apple TV, on Amazon Echo, and on Amazon Fire TV. Act now. Time slots are limited. Sign up today and get a free replay with the purchase of your time slot. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
I think Wayne County Community College District is the perfect place for any student.
We are all a big melting pot and sharing different experiences.
Everyone was really friendly and they're giving you their time. I know someone here will always be there to support me.
Armenalda Carrick, Bosnia.
Sandra Gonzalez, Mexico. Minhas Jakia, Bangladesh.
Dennis Carrick, Bosnia and Herzegovina.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
I pledge to stay drug-free.
I plan to stay drug-free.
I pledge to stay drug-free.
I pledge to be drug-free.
I pledge to stay drug-free.
And thank you. I want to welcome you to Expose Under the Sun, sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and I am very pleased to have two very special guests on the show today. And they're going to be talking about one of the organizations that's near and dear to my heart, A. Philip Randolph Institute. So before we get to my special guests, I just want to go and tell you that if you'd like to call in and join in on a conversation, our call-in numbers are area code 313-868-0342, 313-868-0351, or 313-868-4336. And our website is www.tv33whpr.com. And you are watching us live in the awesome city of Highland Park, Michigan, under the auspices of the Honorable Mayor Hubert Yap. And I just want to thank Henry Tyler and R.J. Watkins for allowing us to have this half an hour that we can speak and be able to go and give you some good information. But I just wanted to say before we get started, I do want to thank Ms. Claudine Jackson. The 25th of February is my birthday, and I do want to thank her. She presented me with a birthday present of her new book that she wrote called The Butterfly. So if you haven't seen or you haven't had an opportunity to get this book, please get this book. It's a lot of poems and more that Ms. Claudine Jackson has written. So I do want to tell Ms. Jackson again my deepest appreciation for giving me this book for my birthday. So again, I do want to let everybody know today is Election Day. People are voting in the polling precincts for the presidential candidates. And one thing I want to imply to everybody is don't think that this is the end. There is another date that you are going to be voting for the president of the United States in November. So make sure you go to the polls, not just today, and vote your choice, vote your conscience, vote your heart. And we're not trying to go and tell you who to vote for. The main thing we're trying to tell you is to go out and vote. If you don't, you lose your voice, you lose your power, and you also may jeopardize your future as well as your children's and their children's future as well. So imperative, if you haven't gotten out to vote, make sure you go out to vote. I was going to put my little I voted sticker on, but I can't leave the camera and go off and get that right now. But I did vote. So again, I do want to encourage everyone to make certain that you do go out and vote. And also, if you did vote absentee and your ballot may be invalidated, you can also get another ballot and you can vote again. So I want to make sure and also let people know, if you are returning citizens, make sure that you exercise your right, because you still can vote. Unless you are incarcerated, then you cannot. But if you are waiting to be sentenced, or if you are on parole or on probation, yes, you still have the privilege of being able to get out and vote. So definitely I want to encourage everybody to go out and vote. This has been a nice day, a little bit of drizzle, but sometimes, people look for excuses to not get out and vote. But this is a day that hopefully everybody will get out, exercise their choice, and encourage and convince other people, make sure that you go out and vote as well. But today, I am very blessed and very honored to have two special guests on the show. I kind of teased this one young lady. We kind of have a little thing with Trekkies, so we kind of laugh and joke a little bit. She's Captain Kirk, and I've been given several names, but I think now my nom de plume is Lieutenant Sulu. So I just want to say that I'm very blessed to have Miss Andrea Hunter, and she is the president of the Detroit Downriver chapter of A. Philip Randolph Institute. Madam President, great to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me here.
And we are also blessed to have this young man. This is one of our youth ambassadors for A. Philip Randolph Institute. And ladies, I know I can see you now. You're probably seeing this young man and you're probably getting all excited. Look at him with his good-looking beard and all that. So just looking sharp. So I know he'll probably be a fashion model probably in upcoming years. But this is Mr. Kelvin Blakes. So, Mr. Blakes, I appreciate you coming on the show today as well.
It is a pleasure to be here.
You know, listen to him. He's so articulate. You hear that?
Wayne State graduating in the year.
He's going to be graduating from Wayne State University, our own. What's your major?
My major is psychology with a minor in African American studies. So.
What made you go into that major?
Well, initially, I began to take on a role of becoming a listener. Mm-hmm. I am a natural born listener, so sometimes people just want to be heard, and that is something that I enjoy, being that comfort, that, you know, soundboard. So that was something that spoke to me, and I wanted to help people. So.
Okay. So now, what do you want to do? So you say you want to help people. So after you graduate and get your degree, what do you want to do with it?
Well, initially, I wanted to open up my own private practice as a therapist. But now I am looking for other options as a counselor, maybe going to social work. I just know that I want to help people.
Okay, so now, before we get to Andrea to tell a little bit more about A. Philip Randolph Institute, you are a youth ambassador?
Yes.
And you've gone to some of the conventions?
Yes.
What was it like? What were some of your experiences going to some of the conventions? And how many conventions that you've been to?
Well, I started off when I was 17. So my first experience going to a national conference, it was eye-opening.
Where was it at?
That was in, I believe, Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, I was down there with you. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And just to be in a room with other people like me who have a variety of different experiences, listening to them about the issues of police brutality, and it was just, it made me want to be more and do more within my community.
Okay. So now, you're going to be receiving an award, if I'm understanding, next month. Is that correct?
Yes.
What type of award are you going to be receiving?
I am going to be receiving a reward that basically says you've gone beyond and above. And personally, I feel like there's always more work to be done, but I will accept this award. So.
Okay. Anybody in particular that may have, who inspires you? What motivates you? What gives you that inspiration when you get up and get out and do some of the things that you do in the community? Or when you think about your future and what you want to do when you graduate from Wayne State, what motivates you? Who motivates you?
Well, there are multiple people. I look through my studies, I have noticed that there were people like Marcus Garvey, people like A. Philip Randolph. These people set up a foundation for us to become better, to do more, to fight for the rights that we deserve. And I feel like it is my responsibility as an African American to uphold that and to make a better tomorrow, so to speak.
So to speak. Okay. All right. Well, let's segue into, that's good when you said that about A. Philip Randolph Institute. So now, Andrea Hunter, you are the president of the Detroit John River chapter of A. Philip Randolph Institute. Tell a little bit about the chapter and who A. Philip Randolph was.
Well, our chapter began in 2012. For fact, June 30th of 2012. There's numerous chapters across the country. A. Philip Randolph Institute was created in 1965, and it was in direct relation to the passing of the Voter Rights Act of 1965. In regards to making sure that there was an instituted entity to make sure that even the law got passed for equality of voting rights
cross board, somebody remained there to make sure that those voter rights stayed intact. So we always have to have somebody guarding it. Like this is the 100-year anniversary of the 19th Amendment for women to get the right to vote, and that created the League of Women Voters. They've been around for 100 years to make sure that women have that right. So every time we have an act or an entity, we need to keep people there around for, to make sure to incite that these laws that were fought for do not disintegrate or go away altogether. So that's why A. Philip Randolph Institute was created. As anyone know, A. Philip Randolph has different type of categories, but A. Philip Randolph is considered a labor leader because he believes, like I do, that you gotta give people with any type of rights they want to fight for, health care, home, maybe for education, whatever. They don't care to engage in that if they don't have their basic fundamentals of food and shelter. And food and shelter goes along with jobs. So, and the thing that people think, even though he's an African-American based leader, he was very inclusive. In my classes I teach at Wayne State Labor University and U of M Labor, I always bring the 1963 program from that march on Washington. And there you see people spoke of various religions, races, and people realize women spoke too. We educate our children to believe that I Have a Dream speech was the only, or Dr. King's speech. For a fact, he was the very last one to speak before, there was a choir. If you look at the program. So it's various speakers that day, and that's something we need to educate our children in and understand that it was if the title of that program said Jobs and Freedom. Jobs is something, it doesn't matter what walk of life you have, that you are inclusive. That's how we build coalitions. Coalitions are built because everyone has a like-minded subject. And jobs is one thing we all have to understand. Because I teach to everybody, the powers that be, the only thing they do is they try to do things to divide us. They divide us on social issues. They divide us on race. They divide us on religion. So we're so busy arguing amongst each other at the bottom, we're not collectively getting each other to understand the things that we deserve. So that's one of the reasons why I'm very involved with Philip Randolph. And as a president of Local 1299 Steelworkers and a labor person, now we got to understand that if the community does not support us in our different, as we see proposals that's on ballots, like I said, there's different things, then how can we collectively ensure everyone has equality on the workplace floor? So that's all needed.
You're the president of, say that again?
I'm also the president of United Steelworkers Local 1299.
Now, are you the first woman president?
You're just going to put that in there. I'm the first woman and first African American, yes.
Well, you gotta say that.
Congratulations. I thank you, but my point is that I'm a steelworker, and that's why I got elected. I just want to say I'm a steelworker, not for any first or whatever. It just happened to be there, but I'm a steelworker. Very proud, 25-year steelworker.
And I know all of your people that have voted you in are very proud of the work that you've been doing.
Well, every day we fight to make sure that happens.
Now, tell a little bit about, I've been a proud member of A. Philip Randolph for about the last 5 years. Tell, who was A. Philip Randolph?
A. Philip Randolph, at one time in this country, was designated by the FBI as the most dangerous Afro-American in America. This is a man that, if you are a person of color in the military, you have to thank him. This is a man who started the first union, sleeping car porters for predominantly Afro-Americans. This is a man who stood behind the scenes along with Bear Rustin and let a young Dr. King flourish. Many might not understand that I'm not taking anything away from the great doctor. He sacrificed his ultimate thing, his life. However, he was articulate and nice looking, and like I tell my people about marketing. He could market, but those men behind the scenes, he was only 23 years old with the Alabama boycotts. Okay, that was Barry Rustin. Barry Rustin brought peaceful protests over from Gandhi. He brought it over here. He was organizers. A. Philip Randolph was the type of person whose picture was beyond him. He was not an egotistical person. He brought up Barry Rustin, who later in turn brought up Dr. King, who later in turn brought up John Lewis. We always try to reach one, teach one. And Barrett understood that working with a man like A. Philip Randolph, and I always call him the untouchable, you know, like Elliot Ness, you know, you couldn't, A. Philip Randolph was untouchable in his principles, in his vision of every worker having an equal opportunity to catch that American dream, for every worker to have dignity on the floor in the workplace, for every worker, regardless to where they come from or what color of their skin or who they worship, had a right to provide for their family. We owe a great deal to A. Philip Randolph, and people don't understand as far as when he went, you know, I always liked one of the stories that Eleanor Roosevelt, that he tells in his book, when he supported Roosevelt to become president on the grounds, and one of the major things was desegregating the military. He promised, okay, that he would do it. When he got in office, it didn't come up months later. So he always brags that he went to the real president of the United States. He sat down with Eleanor Roosevelt. And Eleanor Roosevelt got him, you know, Asa in there to talk to the president, okay, you know, and the president told me, he said, he went on, hey, you promised to desegregate the military, you know, all this. And the president looked at him and said, make me do it. He said, what you mean? He said, those Dixiecrats is not going to vote for this. Make me do it. So A. Philip Randolph gathered the people to have, they was going to do the first March on Washington. But after that, you know, so that way Franklin can go to the Congress and say, hey, he's going to do this. So they made him talk. So he did an executive order. The executive order desegregated the military. I mean, defense agencies. Then he had to go back, segregate military. Then he had to work on, because even though they desegregated the military, people of color were still not making the same rate of pay if you were a captain or a private. So he had to go back and do that. So, and most of us people of color understand the military was the predominant way to go into something and get education free. You had to sacrifice your life to get education free, like most of us, but we didn't have that opportunity until A. Philip Randolph. Okay, equal opportunity. Okay. So the things he did, he's a very great man.
So now there's an event coming up next month on April 25th. Talk about that event.
April 25th will be our 5th annual fundraiser dinner. It will be at UAW Local 600. There we will also have the privilege of Representative Rashida Tlaib as our keynote speaker. What we do with those dollars that we raise is we feed the less fortunate, because a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people are working and they still can't afford food after paying their utilities and travel. We also take those dollars and educate people on civics, because we're really finding out, it's very heartbreaking that civics has really been taken out of the public schools here. I know in Detroit. And people, if you don't know basic civics, if you don't know the fundamentals of what the House of Representatives do, what the Senate does, the protocol of government, it's kind of hard to be engaged in something you know nothing about. So those dollars go, and we do have a program where we're working on people who are going back into the workforce, because I was so horrible to find out that there's a lot of kids in foster care, they're given a check and told them to go back in the world. So who's going to help them have skills to get their first, you know, job skills that most of us have, and off clothes to go on interviews and stuff. So a lot of these dollars go to help them too. So people going back into the workforce, even people who have been rehabilitated from correction facilities, because that's how you keep crime down. when people are working.
Okay. Now, tell now about where the event is going to take place at, the time, what the ticket price is, and who some of the other honorees may be.
Okay, so the ticket prices are $50 plus, but we have, of course, sponsors packages. You can go on our website, www.aprdetroitdownriver.org. There you can purchase tickets. You can fill the application to join our chapter. There also, you can, it's different things there. You can purchase different items, which goes towards our endeavors too. But there we have the honorees. What we do, every year, we honor people who gave back into the community on their personal time. This is not people who get paid to do this. This are people who, the most valuable thing you have is your time, and they have gave it. So there's 3 honorees this year. Will be Michael Aaron from Labor's Local 1191, Sister Kay Howland from Southeast Jobs with Justice, my girl, cohort, Alicia Dennis from Unite Way via utility workers. Those will be our 3 awardees in the community. I also give a presidential award. That's for 2 members who I believe have went above beyond call of duty and volunteering for their year, and that would be Lisa Wilkes from UAW 1248 and Joyce Dallas. Okay, she's from League of Women Voters. She's also part of our distinguished chapter. We have youth awards. Those will go to Kelvin Blakes this year, right here, and Kari Hunter from MSU, and my brother right here from Wayne State University. They volunteer. He's on, like I'm on my vacation this week here. He is on spring break. He's not down there where everybody is partying. He's out here with me going poll watching for Michigan Voices. Today when we leave here, we started this morning. So yes, we understand that our funds are needed, people understand, for literature. We help our youth when they want to pay, they do different things and they need school books. People don't understand it's just as laptops. Some kids are going to college without even a laptop, which they all need. So this is what these funds do and help our community.
Okay. Only thing you didn't give, where's it going to be at?
I thought I said that earlier. UAW, Local 600 in the prestigious 13th District strong here in Dearborn, Michigan, 10550 Dix in Dearborn, Michigan.
Okay.
And that'll be April the 25th, Saturday, April 25th, from 5 to midnight.
Okay. So there will be dinner, and then there'll be some dancing is after the awards are given out as well.
Yes,
too.
of course.
Okay. All right. Kelvin, till now, you're going to be receiving this award, right?
Yes.
So give your 30-second spiel about why young people should be involved with Detroit Downriver APRI.
Well, I find that it is just important for everybody to get involved in the community that they live in. If you live in any community across America, you need to be involved. Because the things that are happening as far as the government is concerned, it affects you. So if you can't get involved, then you have no voice. And nobody wants to not have a voice. So.
Because if you lose that voice, you lose your power.
Right.
Okay. And primarily the thing is that, Andrea, tell basically that here right now, with trying to get people to keep being engaged, how would give your 30-second spiel for what you would say? I asked Kelvin about getting young people in to get others to be involved.
For one, we have to educate them on the government and its protocol, like I said, on civics. But to get involved, because this is direct, just like Walter Reuther said, relationship from the bread box to the ballot box. Things you have today, you can lose tomorrow with a signature of a pen. We see things turned over every day. Things that we fought for, we thought was set, we look back, they're taken away. Right here in Michigan, we have I have a bad issue with, what's going on in our plant now because of business decisions that was not our fault. But legislatively, we used to have 20 weeks of unemployment. Now 26 weeks, now we got 20. Okay, it's right now, right there is in committee, a bill to make that, bill to make that add to 6 weeks back. Okay, but we got to get that bill passed. It's just sitting in committee. So that's why I think it's important, is because it's economics to affect you and your family. Everybody understand that one thing we all want to do is eat and have shelter.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so now we've got a few minutes left. Give the contact information if somebody wants to join the chapter or if they want to get more information about the fundraiser. What's the information that you would give?
Please visit our website at www.APRI-DetroitDownriver.org. There you can get on our website, see the things we do. You could make donations. You could join our chapter. There are tickets available there for our fundraiser dinner. So that's how you get in. We will hope everybody, as long as they have our bylaws, and our bylaws basically state to work in the community, respect one another, and make sure that we reach out, because we are our brothers and sisters keeper, regardless to what we think we are.
Well, I do want to thank both of you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
And I do want to go and express that if you would like to get a copy of the Detroit Native Sun newspaper, you can contact Ms. Valerie Lockhart at area code 313-457-5944, and you can pick up a copy of the Detroit Native Sun newspaper at your local Kroger supermarkets. But again, Kelvin, I'll let you take us out. So primarily, what's the one word, Kelvin, that you would give today for all of our listening and viewers for this show?
Vote.
Good word. Good word. That's a great word for today. Make sure, exercise your ability, exercise your power, exercise your voice, and get out and vote. Again, this is Darwin Griffin. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And be careful, because make certain that you stay very conscious of this coronavirus, because right now it's very, very powerful. So you want to take every precaution that you can. But again, peace. Tell somebody you love them. We'll see you next week. Same time, same station.
How you see the world is everything.
Oh my God, girl, you take all day.
Oh, hi.
How you doing, Luna?
The people you trust.
Stay safe. Go.
Your community.
You rolling with the pain today.
I'm gonna show you how it's done, Pain. In the best and the worst times.